Not just.
Yeah.
Can everyone take their seats, please?
Just you.
Sit.
Excessive behaviour. I try and do
I would like to formally welcome you all to Chippenham's Town Council's Planning, Environment and Transport Committee. Please may I remind everyone that this public meeting is being streamed to YouTube and will be available there in the public domain for a period of 6 months. Can I please remind all councillors to use their microphones when speaking and to raise their hand clearly and keep it raised when voting. Please ensure you are respectful of others in attendance of this meeting. So we go to public question time. We have received 2 written questions in advance of the meeting. Please can officers confirm if there are any members of the public present who have indicated a wish to speak?
There are none, Chair. Our first written public question is from Natalie and Tim Waters. What we're asking for is simple. We want to be able to get our vehicles on and off our driveway. This is not currently possible. Sorry, this is in reference to Highway Improvement Request 185. Residents of Hadrolls Close and their visitors either park directly against our gates so we can't even open them, or close to the gates so that there isn't enough space to get our small car past. We've put up a sign and spoken to residents, and the situation has not changed in the last year. At a neighbor's suggestion, we also tried marking on the road where we need our last car to park and to enable to get us out, but this hasn't helped either. We have calculated that we need 2.4 meters from our gates, the standard width of a UK parking space, we believe, to be able to get our vehicles out onto the road. Currently, we can't use our driveway as we either get blocked in or blocked out. We have a vehicle parked there that we have had to SORN because we simply can't get it off our drive without having to ask someone to move or to allow us to. The solution that was suggested was to call or text the people blocking us when we want to leave or enter. You'll hopefully understand how restrictive this is. It is reliant on the person blocking being at home and ready to move their vehicles when we want to go in or out. This is both inconvenient for them and for us, and effectively requires us to ask permission to leave or to enter our property. There's also regular parking in the turning circle in Hadrolls Close that causes issues for us and for other residents. At times, another resident cannot get on or off their driveway, either due to the same residents and often their visitors parking there. It is a very narrow road. There are more and more cars parking there, and getting in and out isn't easy. We would like to find an enforceable yet cooperative way forward. We don't want to stop people parking outside of their own homes. All we want is to be able to get on and off our driveway without anyone stopping us due to their own parking situations. We really hope there's a solution that can be found that won't cause conflict. Thank you in advance for your help. Our second public question this evening is from Mr. Peter Feary, and this is regarding Highway Improvement Request 192. Good evening. My name is Peter. My wife and I moved to Chippenham just over 2 years ago. We live right next to Saltersford Lane. The lane was closed during each visit to view our new home during the build process. We had no idea of the level of noise and danger involved regarding the speed in the rural area, now adjacent to family homes, until the lane reopened. The lane currently has a speed limit of 50 miles per hour. We feel this is very dangerous considering the number of new homes that planning was granted for. We currently have 70 more being built on the opposite side of the lane. We were assured that the speed limit would be reduced to 30 miles an hour on the builds commencing and following a TRO. We witness speeds often seemingly more than the current 50 miles an hour and often hear vehicle skid sounds. It's so dangerous with very large HGVs blocking the whole lane whilst reversing onto site. This is the perfect opportunity for Wiltshire Council to consider and implement a one-way system. Please may this be considered in line with Wiltshire Council's 10-point plan. This is the perfect place for a one-way system with speed bumps to ensure compliance of the new road speed limit once put in place. Traffic can travel at 30 miles per hour towards the railway line and beyond towards Melksham. It could encompass a cycle lane and pedestrian pass/lane. Cyclists could safely use a cycle lane, and pedestrians with children could safely walk to local schools. All would really help with cleaner air, and if people felt safe, they would be much more likely to opt for different ways to move around Chippenham other than a vehicle. The traffic could come down in the opposite direction and use Patter down. Any vehicles wanting to travel at speed could use the faster route on the new road that Wiltshire have spent millions on. Please ask councillors to use this perfect opportunity to make the area that we love safer and user-friendly for everyone, not just vehicles. Many thanks for listening.
Thank you. So we go to the start. Okay, so item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence. To receive any apologies for absence.
We have received apologies from Councillor Claire Cape due to being on holiday and Councillor Pete Cousins due to being unavailable.
Thank you. Do we have any notifications of substitution?
Yes, we have Councillor Bettina Nonhoff substituting for Councillor Claire Cape.
Okay, next we go to number 3, which is declaration of interests. All members of the Town Council are reminded to declare any pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests they may have in any business of the council, its committees or subcommittees, in accordance with the latest approved code of conduct. Councillors are reminded to declare any dispensation granted in relation to any relevant matter. Are there any declarations of interest? Councillor Murray.
I'd like to make my usual declaration as chair of the Cycle Network Development Group because I know we've got some requests in this meeting. Thank you.
Next, we go on to the item 4 is the minutes. To receive the draft minutes of the Planning, Environment and Transport Committee meeting held on the 6th of August. Copy attached. Minutes require a proposer and a seconder for approval. Are there any comments to be made in relation to the accuracy of the minutes? No. Okay. Do we have a proposer? Councillor McDermott. Seconder, Councillor Stracke. So I move to the vote. Please, can I have all those councillors in favour of the minutes? Keep your hands raised. Fabulous. Any abstentions? Yeah. Okay, next we go to chair's announcements. There's 5. So the WALPA, which stands for Wiltshire Area Localism Planning Alliance, will be meeting online on Tuesday the 15th of September at 10:30. The head of planning will attend the meeting and report back to this committee on any I've lost my place. Where am I? The head of planning will attend the meeting and report back to this committee on any key actions arising from the meeting. If councillors also wish to attend the WALPA meeting and are not on the group circulation list, please inform the head of planning who can arrange for you to join the meeting. Number 2, the National Planning Policy Framework was published on the 17th of August and is to be used in the assessment of planning applications. New National Development Management policies in the NPPF are described as material consideration of critical importance in the determination of planning applications. Councillors will recall providing responses on the consultation draft on the NPPF back in February 2026. There is little overall difference between the consultation draft compared to the now new published version in respect of how the NPPF will affect development in Chippenham. The lack of 5-year housing land supply will continue to make it hard, if not harder, to object to speculative residential planning applications on the edge of town. The tilted balance test is now replaced by a within settlement versus outside settlement test. Number 3, the traffic regulation orders changing car parking charges and charging hours will be coming into effect on the 1st of September. Further details are available on the Wiltshire Council website. Number 4. Wiltshire Council is implementing an experimental traffic regulation order on the 4th of September, introducing school streets to the following roads in Chippenham: Avebury Road, Littlecote Road, Lydiard Road, Wardle Road and Windsor Road. This experimental TRO will prohibit motor vehicles on these streets from Monday to Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 2:30 to 3:30. There will be a period of consultation for 6 months from the date for the experimental order comes into force. This committee will consider providing a consultation response in January 2027, giving councillors 4 months to observe the effects of the experimental order. And the last one. Wiltshire Council is launching a consultation on a new freight action plan, which sets out how freight and HGVs should be routed across the county. The consultation opens on the 26th of August and runs until 23:59 on the 23rd of September. This consultation is open to the public, and should town councillors wish to respond, they can do so in their personal capacity. Number 6, item 6, planning applications. Okay, so part 1 is to consider planning applications as attached, submitted to Wiltshire Council, and to submit observations. So the first one we go to is PL 2026-04534, and this is for householder planning permission. And we have officers' comments.
Thank you, Chair. There's a strong local vernacular to Arundel Close, with all dwellings being faced in reconstituted stone and tiled roofs being pitched. Whilst there's no objection to the proposed single-storey rear extension being flat-roofed, the addition of a flat roof side extension at first floor, being timber-clad, taller than the eaves of the main house and not being set back from the front elevation of the original building, would, in combination, make this extension appear both at odds with the architecture of the original building and a dominant and incongruous addition in the street scene, contrary to the good design principles required of CP 57 of the Wiltshire Core Strategy, the Wiltshire Design Guide and Policy DP3 of the MPPF. So the advice would be to object to this one. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go to the ward councillors for comment. So we go to Councillor Bragg, Councillor Massey, then Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think the officers' recommendations are correct. It's the back's fine. It's the side bit with the bits on that seems to be worth objecting to. So for a resubmission. Thank you.
I agree with the officer's comments.
I too agree with the officer's comments. I'm generally sympathetic to people wanting to improve their property, but I do think it's slightly out of keeping with the local area, and it would be prudent to bear in mind what I've said, and I would object as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments about this application? No. Are we all happy to object? Yep. Fabulous, right, objection. Right, now on to the next one. It's PL 2026-04834, and this is a householder planning. It's Pewsham, and it's over to officers' comments.
Thank you, Chair. This one is 93 Castlehaven Close. As the proposed extension has the potential to breach the 45-degree code in relation to first floor rear habitable room windows at the adjoining property number 91 Castlehaven Close, it's requested that the case officer visits the site to carefully assess the impact on light and outlook to and from these windows, but the advice is no objection. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go to the ward councillor, which is Councillor Nonhoff.
Yeah, providing we can have the visit, I totally agree with the officers. Thank you.
Any other comments? No. Happy with no objection? Yeah, perfect. On to the next one, which is PL 2026048550. And this is for full planning permission. And it's, got no comments on here. Okay, so this is for the Green Square Group, Ewan Park, Chippenham, the erection of cycle and refuge storage facilities and associated works. Okay, so it is in Capon Park and Hunters Moon. So we go to the ward councillors, Owen, Massey and Bragg.
Thank you, Chair. I've received representation from the Chippenham Cycle Network, who have asked if Green Square Group might liaise with them to ensure that the proposed design of the cycle storage complies with LTN 120. But other than that, I have no objections. Thank you.
See,
I have no objections either.
No objections, and echo my fellow councillors' representations from Chippenham Cycle Network, and it's just a shame you had to park your bike next to a smelly bin, but apart from that, it's all good.
Councillor Murray.
Yeah, just to sort of put a bit more detail on the Cycle Network Group's objections. The stores only accommodate standard cycles at present, and we want to encourage people to use cargo bikes and larger bikes, and the access is very tight. There's a very sharp turn, so it's not ideal. There's also no visitor cycle parking. So since that cycle element is a big part of the application, I don't know. It's up to the committee, but I would be inclined to say a holding objection. So they sort that out, because at the moment it's not in a very good state as a proposal, given it's such an important, that is a key element of the application. So I'll propose a holding objection. Do I need a seconder?
Okay, so you're happy. Right, okay, so I've got an object and a no objection. Are there any other comments on this planning permission, on this planning application? No, okay. All right, in that case, we're going to go for the vote. Okay, so
Do I need a seconder before you do that?
yeah. So proposer for an object, John, you're a seconder, you're proposing? Right, okay. Right, so we go with Councillor Murray's first. We go for the, okay, so those objection, those for no objection, objection. Okay. Objection. It's too much water. Right, so that's objection. Councillor Maria.
Yeah, thanks. Could we just make it clear that it is a holding objection? We are, in principle happy, but we object because of that. So, I mean, just in the text that we put, so it's an objection, but at least we make it clear we're not objecting to the proposal. We're objecting that the fact that they haven't got the cycling right. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Right, we'll add that in the comment, Chair. Okay, right. Okay, so the next one is PL 2026047717, and this is for a lawful development of existing use. So it's the land west of the former divisional headquarters, police headquarters in Wood Lane. Certificate of lawfulness, existing use, confirming that planning permission has been lawfully implemented. And that's Hardens and Central. So we go to ward councillor, Councillor Rutledge. Comments.
Thank you, Chair. It's first time I've seen a lawful development existing use, and I just wondered if the officer could say a few words to explain exactly what this is. Thank you.
Yeah, it's basically a kind of legal test that they're applying for to ascertain whether they've actually started or commenced the development or not. So they've obviously got a previous consent on this site, and they want to obviously keep that consent live. So they've submitted evidence to prove that permission has been implemented. And I think the evidence they've provided seems fine because it's on the balance of probabilities as well. So yeah.
So basically, they said they started. They don't say they've completed.
No, I mean that's not a test anyway. It would just be that they've commenced the development.
Right.
What would you like to go for?
I think it was passed before. They're obviously just trying to keep it alive. I can't see a real problem unless we had a problem with the work they're doing, but it was passed before, so I don't see a problem. Thank you. No objection.
Okay, any other comments? Councillor Bragg?
They don't seem to have done a lot of work. I get that, you know, it's within the legal frame of the law, but I wouldn't really say that that's really commencing building on that particular thing, just maybe as a comment to go forward.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what if the courts looked at it, they would say that it had been commenced probably, because of the site. The photographs they've submitted show the kind of curbstones they've put in. It's all since been covered by brambles and stuff, but technically they've probably have implemented that consent.
Okay, so we're going for no objection. So hands raised for objection, no objection. Okay, right, no objection. Objection? Abstain? No, okay. Oh, that's me. Right, next one is PL 2026048661, and this is for full planning permission at 27 Marketplace, and it's got officers' comments.
Thank you, Chair. The proposed development would preserve the character and appearance of Chippenham Conservation Area in compliance with the Neighbourhood Plan Policy TC4, and substantial weight should be given to the benefits of converting space above shops as per policy L21B of the NPPF. Notwithstanding, it's requested that the bedroom of the proposed first floor flat be enlarged or relocated in order to comply with nationally described standards as required by Neighbourhood Plan Policy H2 and the Chippenham Design Guide, paragraph I5, and the Wiltshire Design Guide, paragraph 9.1.1. Condition should be attached to any consent requiring submission of details of the noise mitigation measures proposed to be incorporated into the building envelope as specified within section 6.4 of the acoustic report. And finally, a condition should also be attached requiring details of safe and secure cycle storage in the rear yard, but the advice would be no objection to this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to Councillor Rutledge for any comments.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I agree with the officer's comments, and I also think the idea of attaching the conditions that or recommendations that he has made should be highlighted in our response. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going for a no objection. No objection? Yeah, good. Okay, so on to the next one is PL 2026, and this is for notification of proposed works to trees in a conservation area. This is a tree application, by the way. I really should read that. Loudon and Rowden. So we have officers' comments for this one.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So comments from the tree officer. This is a proposal to a beech tree to reduce to mid-lower canopy by a maximum of 3 metres laterally. A tree 2 is a tulip tree to reduce vertically by 3.5 metres and reduce laterally by a maximum of 1 metre. So the 2 trees are located immediately to the west of the property, set amongst a larger group of trees. There's no image available, and with the possible exception of the properties immediately adjacent to the trees. Neither are visible from the public vantage point. Amenity value is therefore likely to be low. The works outlined within the notification appear to be relatively minor. However, neither the agent or applicant has provided an image or description of the trees, and we must therefore rely on the integrity of the contractor and tree owner. However, the tree officer recommends no objection in this case.
Okay, so we'll go to Ward Councillor Strag and for any comments.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it is unfortunate that we haven't got illustrations to guide us and for us to make our own views up. But based on what the tree, the advice, I would recommend no objection.
Okay, thank you. So any other comments? No. Are we all happy to go with no objection? Fabulous. Right. Okay, so part 2 of this is to consider whether a request be made to Wiltshire Council board member to call in any of the attached planning applications for consideration by the Northern Area Planning Committee. Are there any planning applications that we would like to put forward? Councillor Murray.
Chair, considering the NPPF now doesn't allow applications to be called in, should this item still exist?
I think there might be a temporary period, but I'll double check. But yeah, we are aware of that will be phased out soon, so we'll take that off the agenda soon. Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, nothing. No. Okay, and the third one is to note that Town Council's planning application PL 2026045666 full planning permission at the Yield Hall Marketplace. That's to note. And the last one is to note that an appeal has been made for planning and for a planning application PL 2026000385 full planning permission for Carpetright Bathbury Chippenham for the change of use from Class C to Class B8 to create self-storage facility for storage use. Copy attached. Okay. Item 7 is the Wiltshire Local Plan Call for Sites. This is to receive and consider a report from the Head of Planning regarding the agreement of sites that the Town Council can submit to Wiltshire Council as part of the Wiltshire Local Plan Call for Sites process. I now hand over to the officer to present the report.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll just summarise the key points from the report. Wiltshire Council are preparing a new local plan, and one of the first stages in that process is a call for sites, where landowners, developers and the local community are invited to suggest a site for development by submitting details of land for potential future development. A site can be suggested for a range of possible uses, including housing, employment, town centre uses such as retail, leisure and mixed-use development, gypsy and traveller accommodation, minerals extraction, waste management facilities, renewable energy generation and storage, open space and recreation, habitat creation and environmental uses, and other uses. Wiltshire Council welcomes submissions for sites of all sizes and types, recognising the important role a diverse land supply plays in meeting future needs. The call for sites commenced on the 9th of July and will run until the 30th of September. Sites submitted during this phase will form the primary evidence base used to inform the emerging spatial strategy and the preparation of the plan. By taking part in the call for sites, councillors can help shape the future pattern of growth and development, contribute to the evidence base for the local plan, promote land for development or other potential development or other uses, and support the delivery of homes, jobs, infrastructure and environmental improvements. Submitting a site allows it to be considered through the local plan process. However, it does not guarantee that a site will be allocated. It does not give additional weight to a site in planning application decisions, and all sites will be subject to further assessment. The call for sites will form an important input into Wiltshire Council's plan to update the housing and economic land availability assessment. Call for site submissions are to be made digitally through Wiltshire Council's consultation portal. For each site being submitted, a series of questions are asked about the site and the submission. The site boundaries also have to be plotted using the portal's mapping tool. It is proposed that the Bath Road Car Park Bridge Centre site is submitted as a site for mixed-use development. This is because the Chippenham Neighbourhood Plan identifies the site as one it wishes to see developed for mixed use, with an indicative master plan for development of the site linked to policy TC1. Appendix A of this report shows the site boundaries of this site. And then turning to the recommendation, it is that councillors agree that the following site is submitted to Wiltshire Council as part of the call for sites process, and that site is the Bath Road Car Park and Bridge Centre site, and the uses proposed are for town centre uses, residential use and other uses. And secondly, that Wiltshire councillors delegate to the Chief Executive the submission agreed to Wiltshire Council, which includes completion of questions about the site and the plotting of site boundaries as part of that submission. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from councillors? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Chair. Where we're going to submit it with that wording, could we, after other uses, just add in accordance with Neighbourhood Plan Policy TC1? So it's quite clear that we've already gone through a rigorous process to decide how we'd like to see that site developed, rather than just loosely as residential and other uses. Please. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Any other comments? Councillor Paisley.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, I just wanted to comment that I think this is an excellent, this site has excellent potential, as is outlined in the neighbourhood plan. So I think it would be a really great idea for us to put this forward as a suggestion for the Wiltshire local plan. And I hope that my fellow councillors will also see this amazing opportunity and support it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Stragg.
Will this reduce the amount of car parking available in the town centre in any way?
Well, I mean, the plan for that site is to have a mix of uses, so that could include car parking. It's up to future decision.
Actually, I recall a plan which might involve a double deck car park anyway. I don't know whether that's included in our neighbourhood plan, but a double deck car park of some sort might provide necessary capacity.
Any other comments? No? Okay. So we go through the recommendations. Okay, so the first recommendation is that councillors agree that the following site is submitted to Wiltshire Council as part of the call for sites process, and that is the Bath Road Car Park Bridge Centre site for proposed town centre uses, residential use and other uses in accordance with policy TC1. So all those in favour? Lovely, okay. And the next one is that councillors delegate to the Chief Executive of the submission agreed to Wiltshire Council, which includes completion of questions about the site and plotting of the site boundaries as part of submission. All in favour? Fabulous. Yep. Okay, item number 8. Chippenham LHVIG highway improvements requests. Okay, this is to receive and consider a report from the Democratic Services Officer regarding highway improvement requests received by the Town Council. Copy attached. Sadie, all yours.
What's up, gang? So the purpose of this report is to consider highway improvement requests which have been submitted to the Town Council for consideration. So for each request, councils are asked to consider, is the request supported? Are there any comments regarding the request? And if the request is not supported, what is the reason? So you've got references 184, Christian Fellowship Church in Wood Lane, visibility issues at driveway. 185, Habrels Close, resident parking issues. 186, Hunger Down Lane, speeding. 187, B4528, Railway Tunnel, pedestrian safety. 188, Frogwell, disabled parking and lay-by. 189, Allington Way and Hunger Down Lane, cycle links to Harden Hughes School. 190, various locations, waiting restrictions. 191, Queens Crescent, speeding. 182, Saltersford Lane, pedestrian safety. And 193, Patchway, parking on Bend. So those are the ones you've got to consider tonight. Financial implications, Wiltshire Council expects a commitment of a 30% match funding to the town from the Town Council for any approved schemes. And yeah, the recommendation is to consider whether you support those highway improvement requests. Thanks.
Okay. On to the first one, which is CTC reference 184, and that is the Councillor Murray.
Coach, I've got a quick question. Where did we get to with what we kind of agreed and outlined at the last meeting, that if a request made by one person, it would be returned to demonstrate that there is a community interest in that request? Do you remember we suggested that would be the case, but did that get incorporated into our protocol?
I'll need to double check the protocol. But for this meeting, I'll just trust that y'all will take that into account, but I'll double check that. Thank you.
Okay, right. Now, CTC reference 184, and this is for the Christian Fellowship Church and Wood Lane, about the visibility issues at the driveway. This is Hardens and Central. So we have comments from a Wiltshire Highways officer to hear before we go to before the ward to the ward councillor.
Thank you, Chair. So the comments from the Highways officer are: upon review, an access protection marking H-bar would be appropriate here to cover the dropped curb area and just beyond. It should be noted that although the access appears wide, only half of this is dropped curb. Any vehicles parking to the end of the wall, as shown in the photos, is quite far from the actual dropped curb access. Oh, sorry, I've got pictures for y'all too. Pictures. This is where we are. Ta-da! Cool. And so the recommendation from the Highways officer is to refer this to LHVIG, and that provision of access protection marking will do. Yeah.
Okay, so we will go to the ward councillor first, which is Councillor Rutledge, for any comments.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, and it seems to me entirely reasonable. I completely go along with the Highways officer's comments, and I would support this being referred to LHVIG.
Okay, are we all in any other comments? Councillor Bragg and Councillor Nunn.
I think this is a particularly unreasonable request. The Highways, the Act clearly states under the Traffic Management Act of 2004, Section 86, that parking in front of a lowered curb is a parking contravention and can attract a penalty notice. It's a wide area. There's a tight bend on the thing. I just think better driving coming off that apron might be a better method than spending public money on putting some double yellow lines down just because somebody can't come out of a driveway properly.
Thank you, Chair. I know the street quite well. It is really tight and there is not enough parking there, and people will park wherever. I don't have an issue with the double yellows. I think that's fine. However, I also firmly believe that we need to enforce them, and I think that's where we might be falling down. It seems a little preposterous to just paint double yellows and nobody's going to pay any attention to it. Thank you.
Councillor Baisley.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd like to echo the sentiment of Councillor Bragg. I used to live very near to this site and it's very infrequently used. I've seldom ever seen a vehicle coming in and out of it, and it has got a very wide entrance. So I feel that cautious driving, exiting and entering is probably more suitable than double yellowing, which will probably be ignored anyway if parking is so poor in the area. Yeah, just my thoughts on it, but happy for LHVIG to decide.
I used to, many years ago, attend that place quite regularly because they used to hold mother and baby groups. And literally, it is not all of that. That's a dropped curb. So when you come out of it, you need to pick your exit point really carefully because otherwise your car goes thunk. So only about half of that, and I think you can just about see it in the picture, is a dropped curb. So yes, parking in front of a dropped curb is already an offence, but given that half of that looks like an exit point but isn't, maybe the double yellows aren't the worst idea.
Councillor Townsend, just on the LHVIG.
Could we not refer it back to the church and say they should complete the drop curb, and then there would be no excuse for parking along the full width of the drop curb?
All right, okay, so lots of options here. I think, who was Councillor Murray?
Okay. Yeah, I did wonder if we are going to send it back and say we don't think it's a good idea, but it seems to be come down to the fact that there is no reasonable entrance there. So I mean, a white line across the bit where they want to keep it, people to be able to get in and out, would make it obvious. So I mean, that may be a highways suggestion, but we could kick it back and say there must be another solution to this than completely double yellow lining the whole area. We're allowed to make comments back, aren't we, if we don't support it?
I'd like to remind y'all that we're mostly talking about whether you see an issue that needs to be fixed. And if you do, then refer it to the LHVIG and they can think about solutions. We can't, I mean, you could, but it wouldn't completely make sense to refuse something based on not liking the solution requested by the applicant, because the highways officers will take into account what actually needs to be done. So just a reminder on that front.
Councillor Massey.
Okay, there's two solutions here, the way I see it. Yellow lines or a dropped curb. Which is the cheapest? I would suggest we go for the cheapest option because both would work.
Anyone else? Councillor McDermott.
Could we just refer it to LHVIG and then the officer on that committee can make the decision about what would be suitable with cost? Because I used to attend LHVIG, so I know what happens in that meeting. So yeah, I think that might be a good idea rather than going back or declining it. Whereas if it goes to LHVIG, they could suggest an option, or if it isn't suitable, then they can decline it.
Okay, so are we happy to refer it back to LHVIG? Yeah. No. Okay, so those okay, so who would like I would, for those who want to defer it back to LHVIG or to send it to LHVIG, I need a proposer and a seconder. Proposer, yeah. Seconder. Councillor Massey, seconder. So,
Just one vote.
just one, okay, right, so, councillor Murray.
If we go with that solution, would it be possible though, just to say a comment that we are generally against putting double yellow lines across the whole thing? Because I think there is a consensus on that.
We can add your comments, yeah. Perfect. Okay, so, objection.
Voting on whether we support.
All right, okay. So, okay, so all those in favour of voting in support of this? Subject to comments mentioned. Hold your hands up nice and high so we can see them. Fabulous. That's better. Those against? Abstained? Oh, no one stands either. Right, okay, so that was going back. Okay, so on to the next one. CTC reference 185, and this is Harbriels Close residential parking issue. And this is Hardenston Central, and we have comments from the Wiltshire Highways officer again.
Thank you, Chair. So the Highways officer's comments all are, although a sign has been fixed to the gates, it is fairly small, and when the gates are closed, it is not immediately obvious that this is a vehicle access. The resident may wish to consider larger signing or gates that allow some visibility into the property to make clear that the vehicle access is needed. While rating restrictions could be considered, this would be for the benefit of one access only, so may not be considered appropriate expenditure. Enforcement in a location like this would also be limited. An access protection marking would not be suitable as an alternative to yellow lines here, as the area to be kept clear is not across the access itself. Recommendation is do not refer to LHFIG, refer back to the resident. Thank you.
Okay, so we go to the ward councillor first, which is Councillor Rutledge for comments.
Thank you, Chair. I had a quick look at this. What the Highways officer does not seem to have taken into account is the idea that there may be problems for the refuse collection trucks and any other large vehicles going down there. It looks like a very narrow street, and the only point at which something like a refuse truck could turn round is at that end point. So the access gate they're talking about there is just off a turning point. Can we see, is that the whole picture? Yeah. Okay, yeah, that one there. You can see there's that area on the left there. That's the kind of turning area going in. It's difficult to get the sense of proportion from those two pictures. It seems to me that it's something worth a little bit more consideration, not just from the point of view of the residents' access, if that's something that we can actually pass back to LHFIG. I can see that if you've got vehicles being parked in that turning area there, which is almost part of the access, it would create considerable difficulties for refuse collection trucks. Whether that's a real problem actually happens, I don't know, and obviously he's looking at, but it's quite a long road and it's curved. It's quite long and it is not straight. And the car parked vehicles all the way alongside of it. So I do see it as a potential problem point.
Okay, any other comments? No, no other comments. Okay, so so the Highways officer has basically suggested we go back to the resident about this. So are we in support of the Highways officer?
Suggested no objection, so we vote on that.
All right, so we're going to go for the no objection. Right, okay. Right, so do we refer this to LHFIG? In support of referring it to LHFIG? No. Yes, Councillor Rutledge.
Just say I think we should definitely put it to LHFIG because I think there's a little bit more consideration required here.
Okay, so are we? Are we supporting this then, yeah? No, we're not supporting. Hang on, can I get my painkillers out? Yeah. Sorry. Oh, banging his head. Go for it.
Am I leading the vote now? All right. Those in support of sending this to LHFIG, please raise your hand. Perfect. And those against? Any abstentions? Perfect. That's going to be referred to LHFIG. Thank you.
Suggestion. If the chair's not feeling well and it looks as if you're not feeling great, do you want to swap with somebody? Just a thought. Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Sure.
so okay, so the next one is CTC reference 186, and this is down Hungerdown Lane, and this is about speeding. And so so this is Capon Park and Hunter's Moon, Seaford Capon Park and Derards and Sheldon. So we have officers' comments.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so the highways officer's comments are existing data shows the 85th percentile speeds are 36 miles an hour, which is over the enforcement threshold. It may be appropriate to flag with the local policing team. A traffic survey request to gather up the data would be appropriate and would open the process for community speed watch if speeds are still in the 36 mile an hour range and volunteers are forthcoming. The zebra crossings are subject to review as part of a countrywide program for assessing the condition and appropriateness of all zebra crossings and prioritization of action to refurbish and alter as appropriate. So the recommendation is to not refer to the LHFIG, but instead to refer to the traffic survey process.
Okay, so this is so we've got the councillors Bragg, Massey, Owen, Prentice, Baisley, and myself. So we're going to go in the order of I've got in front of me. Bear with. Okay. So go to Councillor Bragg first.
Agree with the officer's comment. This is a matter for enforcement in terms of the police and doing checks. So I think this is not necessarily an LHFIG matter. So I agree to the recommendation.
Okay, and the next one is Councillor Massey.
Speed limits are always going to be a problem on Hungerdown Lane. I was against somebody did make a suggestion to reduce it to 20. I wouldn't go for the 20, but there must be another way of making it safer. Maybe some sort of chicane, and people have to give way. People going up Hungerdown Lane, you give way to traffic coming there, that'll slow them all down. As for the roundabout, to me, that's a black spot when it comes out of Sheldon Road. People coming off Sheldon Road onto the roundabout look to the right. They don't see a car, so they accelerate. But then people like me come along and it's close to a smash up. It's more than once I've experienced this. So I'd say more signage, more police. That's it for me.
All right, thank you. And now Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, there's no doubt it's a very busy road. Lots of school children, of course, at two occasions, both ends of the day. But I'm mindful of officers' comments on the best way to address this. And I do think that if we can engage the police in trying to enforce the speed limits, that might change behaviours. Thank you.
Councillor Prentice.
Good evening. Yeah, this has been an issue for a long time. We've referred this to the police many times. They've done traffic policing there many times. Something that nobody else has picked up is the suggestion of a community speed watch. And what about the neon flashing signs that tell you how fast you're going? All these sorts of things are for us to decide and you know, and put forward. But I agree, it's not really one for the LH Fig. Is it within the remit of the town council to deploy speed signage? SIDS, yeah.
Yes, SIDS, we do deploy the SID, and when we have a waiting list based on, you know, demand.
Where is it now?
I don't know where it is currently. It's what? Pew Hill.
Pew Hill.
Yeah.
So maybe it should be added to that list to have a community, have a SID put up there. But the community speed watch is also a good idea because it does slow people down. It's just about, you know, making people feel better not go so fast on that road because we're being watched. So, but I don't agree that it's not an LH Fig thing. This is something we can probably deal with internally, but I do suggest we put it on that list.
Thank you, Councillor Baisley.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would also like to echo Councillor Puntis's point about community speed watch group. Perhaps someone listening tonight might be interested in starting up a Hunger Down Lane speed watch. I'm sure it would prove popular and goes with the ideals that the police are the public and the public are the police. We should all be watching out for illegal activity and reporting it. Might be a way to reduce speeding, but I don't feel that this is something LH Fig will be able to help with. It will be something that the police would need to oversee, perhaps assisted by the public, which would make it a lot easier. Further comment I'd like to make is that I've already brought to LH Fig about the zebra crossings. Last year I put in my own request, and I caught up with the chair of LH Fig back in July, who assures me that the zebra crossings are currently being looked into in a way of making them more visible and making sure drivers are aware of pedestrians waiting to cross. This in turn will have a natural effect on speeding, as it will create a natural barrier where cars will slow down regularly and hopefully reduce the overall speeding on the road. I was saddened to see that just a couple of days after the conversation I had with the chair of LH Fig that somebody was hit on a zebra crossing on the road. So it does show that it's a very prevalent issue in the town, one that I feel needs to be tackled quite urgently before something more serious happens. So hopefully the police would be able to assist us on this, and LH Fig will be able to improve these zebra crossings in due course to reduce speeding as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And since I'm on the list, I would just like to echo those comments. I mean, I personally think you can't really tell anyone to slow down speeding unless you give them a copy of the highway code and tell them this road is this, and you know. So yes, I think we are going to not send it back to LH Fig, but send it to the traffic survey. So all those in favour of supporting?
All those in favor of supporting traffic survey, sending to SIDS, and encouraging a community safety watch, and maybe highlighting with the police.
Just
all those in favor of that.
All those in favour of that one?
SIDS.
And SIDS, yeah. All right, all in favour, right. Okay.
So is that all in favor?
Yeah, that's all in favour, yeah. Right. Okay, next one is CTC reference 187. And this is the B452H railway tunnel pedestrian safety at Capon Park and Hunters Moon and Loudon. We got officers' comments for this one.
Yes, thank you. The highway officer's comments are: there are a number of requests for Saltersford Lane. However, this area is currently subject to development, with S278 highway works still outstanding by the developer. These works may help to resolve some of the issues raised. HDM officers have been asked to provide an update on the current status of developer works on Saltersford Lane to allow a fuller update, and the concerns raised here will be passed back. However, it would be appropriate to allow development works to complete before considering any review of Saltersford Lane through the LH Fig process, and the recommendation is to not refer to LH Fig, but to refer concerns to the Highways Development Management Team. Thank you.
Okay, so we would go to the ward councillor for that one. So that will be Councillor Massey. Councillor Bragg and Councillor Owen.
I shall go along with Sadie's comments.
Yeah, I agree that it should be referred to the people who are putting up the signpost, especially that new development on the side of the road. I'd strongly recommend that goes down to a 30. It's being used as a rat run, and people are trying to race to beat the traffic onto a difficult bend. It's you know you're encompassing 3 different speed zones as you go off one road onto another, and then up to 30 into Chippenham. So it's very dangerous, and I think it definitely should have some sort of pedestrianisation to slow people down.
Councillor Rowan.
Thank you, Chair. This is a matter that there is a great deal of support in the Hilltop Park Hunters Moon estate for slower traffic on that road. With fellow councillors, we've tried really hard to get that implemented at the beginning of the development of the new backhouse houses. It doesn't appear that that's going to be the case. I appreciate that there are lots of administrative matters that have to be dealt with first. I have to take on board the officer's comments about the development getting underway or completing before we make a decision on how best to tackle this. I know that's going to be deeply frustrating for a number of the residents, and I think I have to go along with the officer's comments, but I feel much sympathy, or a great deal of sympathy, for those that live nearby, and I do hope that we can get this road, or the traffic on the road, slowed down as quickly as we possibly can. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Strag.
Well, thank you, Chair. Yes, it is very important that people from Rowden Park and so on have access through that tunnel. Many may, if they do want to walk, they might want to go to Methuen Park or Sainsbury's, and that's very important. And I do look forward to some decent, safe route being constructed.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Merritt.
Thanks, Chair. I see a bit of a dilemma here, though, in that if we correctly say this has got to be solved, through the developers paying for something more substantial going forward, and therefore we don't send it back, it kind of dismisses the issue. Whereas if we send it back, at least the HV can say, no, this has got to be, it highlights it by saying, yes, we agree there is an issue here, because it definitely is.
Okay, so any other comments? Councillor Prentice and Councillor Strag.
So as you probably all know, I have a fairly intimate relationship with Salterford Lane, having lived on it for most of my childhood, before any of the houses were built there, and even before the bypass was built. So a couple of comments. First of all, once the dualling of the A350 is completed, that will alleviate to some extent the issues that we're facing, because even I have gone that way to try and beat the road, keeping the speed limits, but try and beat the 40-mile-an-hour limit and the queues that are building up, because it's single carriageway and a lot of work going on. So once that's all finished, hopefully that should alleviate it to some extent. With regard to the developers, getting developers to pay, it's too late for that, because they've already got the planning permission and the Section 106 agreements in place to do the Section 278 works on that road, which also involve, as I understand it, a reduction of the speed limit to 30 miles an hour once the development has been completed. So, and it also includes some walkways the other way, back towards the Pheasant roundabout, not that way. That asset is a Network Rail asset as well. So that's not necessarily something that highways can have as much involvement in. It would be something that Network Rail would have to deal with, very similarly to the one by the Esso garage on the Bath Road as well. So although it's a pain, and I've also, as you know, spoken to some of the residents. They see me up at my parents' house and run down the road. They go, I need to talk to you about. It's a temporary problem that's been ongoing for a while, but it is coming to an end when that development is built out, and I think it will probably right itself once all of the work is done, the section 278 works are done and the bypass is open. So I don't think we should refer this to back to LHFIG.
Councillor Strag, then Councillor Owen.
Now, looking at the picture there, I do go through that tunnel sometimes, and the bus 44H goes through there as well. And I do wonder whether it could ever really be a safe route for pedestrians. That's all. It's just too narrow. I wouldn't want to be walking that way at all, whether it's marked or not. Simply.
Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Chair. Fumi, I probably should mention this before. My understanding is that the road will be reduced in part to 30 miles an hour, part might be 40. There are going to be sort of picket style fencing at both ends, all to give drivers an impression that they're entering a residential area. I know that residents will feel frustration that it isn't happening quickly, and as I say, with fellow ward councillors, we've tried very hard to get that implemented at the beginning of the development phase, and it doesn't appear that hasn't happened. So, as Councillor Punter said, hopefully the problem will be alleviated with the bypass. The speed limits will be reduced. I think I would just reiterate to residents that we are absolutely mindful of the speeding issue. And my slight fear is that some people who wish to speed will still speed, even if it's a reduced speed limit. I don't say that it doesn't matter, but I think we'd like to do as much as we possibly can. But if officers have said that we ought to wait until the development is further through, when some other measures will also be implemented, I feel I ought to take heed of that. Thank you.
Any other comments? No. Okay, so are we going for, are you not supporting? Hands up if you're not supported.
Refer to highway development management as well.
Yeah, to refer to highways development manager for the comments. Okay, next one is CTC reference 188. And this is Frogwell disabled parking in Lay-by, in Capon Park in Derrida. And we have comments again.
Yes, thank you. So the highway officer's comments are: an additional advisory bay could be considered and a dropped curb provided. However, there's an alternative car park with disabled bay and dropped curb access to the church. Might it be possible for this area to be used as an alternative? If the councillors support the provision of an additional bay and dropped curb, this would be solely for the benefit of those accessing the church. Therefore, would a contribution from the church be considered appropriate? And the recommendation is to consider referring to LHFIG with further information and further discussion with the church regarding potential alternative arrangements. And I reached out to the applicant, and here's the response to those questions. Answer to your first question, the church complex is used by the Lordsmead Play Group throughout the week. This means that due to Ofsted safeguarding requirements, the complex cannot be accessed by the doors into the hall at that time. Using our car park would mean dropping off there and then wheeling around to the front of the church, and a long struggle for those with manual mobility aids. Our service attended by the local Middlefield care centres on Wednesdays, followed by fellowship coffee, so no access from the car park entrance to the church. We also have other activities such as fitness and exercise sessions and the friendship lunches involving the elderly, often with mobility issues, which they are seeking to address. And then on the subject of a contribution, our congregation is small and mainly retired with financial constraints of their own. You may also be aware that we have just paid £117,000 to replace our concrete cancer-riddled window in the main church. This utilized the money derived from selling our one and only asset, a half share in a property in Sheldon Road. I'm afraid that with the expended and raising costs of services, utilities, and other maintenance requirements, any financial contribution is remote. We hope that services we provide to the community throughout the year, not least through the award-winning Food Box Initiative, already constitutes a recognizable contribution in kind. Thank you.
Okay, so are we looking to support this one? Oh, yeah. That is councillor Puntis.
Thank you. I've also had a email conversation through Sadie with the applicant on this. I absolutely understand the reason that they want to do this, and the initial recommendation by the officer suggests something that the applicant has explained the reason why that is not a possibility. I won't go through it, but we've just heard it. So I'm concerned that the church feel they're not able to make a contribution, and I'm worried that the only way forward is if they do make a contribution. And the only way we'll know for sure is if we put this through and see what is suggested and see what the church say when they're told, yes, we can support this, but you have to make a contribution. And if not, it then will come back to us to see whether or not we're prepared to make a larger contribution, because there's quite a big community. Well, there's more than one person, and so that's being impacted by this. So I think refer to the LHFIG with further information, and I will, in the meantime, speak through Sadie, the applicant, and ask them to formally make a request to the church about any potential funding contribution, despite what he has said. Thank you.
Okay, so any other comments? Councillor Murray?
Yeah, well, I don't disagree with anything Councillor Puntis has said. I was under the impression you could apply for disabled bays on the highway. This is in a park, in a lay-by, so it's on highway, isn't it? You know, through a process. So, because I know presidents in the past of mine have applied direct to Wiltshire Council. So, are we absolutely clear this is an LHFIG requirement to go this way for this?
Yeah, we're going to go.
I only know what the highways officers told me. But we can also, if you would like to put it forward to LHFIG, we can also look at seeing if there's another process that we could go through as well.
Yeah, no, I'm quite happy to put it through LHFIG, agree to support it, but just say, have you considered, applying directly? Is that, because I think that's still a thing, you can do that anyway. Yeah. And they refused. Somebody said they did.
We did.
Oh, right, and you.
Sorry. Can we keep the chat to a minute? Absolutely nothing at the back, please, while the meeting's going on. Thank you. Right. So, are we going for are we going to refer this to LHFIG? Hands up if you want to refer it to LHFIG. Right. Okay, that's going towards LHFIG. Okay. Okay, so the next one is CTC reference 189, and this is for Allington Way, Hungerdown Lane, cycle links to Harden Hewish School, Seapen Park, and Derrida and Sheldon. So we have officers' comments.
The highways officers' comments are: the changes requested are likely to cost in the region of £100,000 to deliver, potentially more if the crossing was to be upgraded to a signal-controlled two-king crossing. There may not be sufficient space for a parallel crossing similar to a zebra, but has a section for cyclists to cross to. The pedestrian provision is in place and wayfinding signing for the route could be provided, albeit cyclists would need to stay on the road on the section where off-road provision is not available or dismount to use the crossing. And the recommendation is do not refer to LHFIG, refer request to Wiltshire Council Sustainable Transport for awareness and collation for future schemes. Picture.
Okay, so ward councillors for this one are Baisley, Puntis, then myself. Councillor Baisley.
Oh, it's me first this time. Sorry, I don't really have any comment, so I'll defer to the next councillor. Thank you.
Next one.
Thank you. I think it's fairly obvious. There's nothing here that would suggest that a referral to the LHFIG would benefit this, and I think it's more than sensible to refer it to Wiltshire Council Sustainable Transport.
Okay. I am of the same opinion of Councillor Prentice. So those in favour of not supporting?
Any other comments?
Any other comments? Okay, time. No, all in favour of supporting. Hands up if you are. Supporting, yes, support, not referring, not referring, you know, but we will refer it to the Wiltshire Council Sustainable. Yeah. Hang on, we're nearly done. Okay, so the next one is CTC reference 190. So this is various locations with waiting restrictions. So we've got Capon Park in Darrards, Harden Hewish, Hartington Central and Sheldon. So we have comments from the officer.
Thank you. The comments from the Highways Officer are LHFIG have a number of similar requests from Cycle Chippenham being considered as part of the current review. These locations can be added to that. The outcome of the review may suggest that some locations would be suitable for an access protection H-bar marking as an alternative to additional waiting restrictions requiring upright signing. And the recommendation is to refer to LHFIG for inclusion on ongoing review.
Okay, so ward councillors for this one is Councillor McDermott, Rutledge, Paisley, Prentice and Robinson.
Yeah, happy for it to go to LHFIG.
Councillor Rutledge.
I agree, Chair. Thank you.
Councillor Paisley.
Ditto, Chair.
Councillor Prentice.
Thritto, is that like one up from a ditto? I agree.
I concur, Chair.
I concur.
I concur as well. Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, there is a public cost to these yellow lines, and the double markings mean they're stopping at any time if my recollection of the highway code is anything to go by. What I would say is, it's been mentioned before, enforcement is the key here. There's no point just painting lines if people ignore them, and there's plenty of evidence around the town centre where cars just park over them. So it's probably not for this committee, but it's an observation that I hope this does the trick, but we need to have it enforced if it's really going to make a difference. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Councillor Murray.
Yeah, no, I mean, they do, just to correct that, W lines, you can unload on W lines and disabled people can park on W lines. It's not the same as no stopping.
There's 2 lines to 2 stripes.
Oh, there's 2 stripes, beg your pardon. Yeah, yes. Fair enough.
Okay, any other comments? No, okay. So are we happy to refer this to LHFIG? Yeah, all in favour? Yeah, lovely job. And on to the next one. It is CTC reference 191, and this is Queen's Crescent and speeding in Capon Park and Hunter's Moon. And we have officers' comments.
Thank you. The highway officer's comments are, it would be appropriate to divert this request to the traffic survey request process to determine the existing vehicle speeds. And the recommendation is do not refer to LHFIG, refer instead to the traffic survey process. Thank you.
Okay. That's one. Okay, so we go to okay, so we go to the ward councillor for this one, which will be Councillor Owen, then we go Councillor Massey, then Councillor Bragg.
Thank you, Chair. The parking situation in Queen's Crescent differs from one end to the other, and I appreciate therefore that the risk of speeding is different in either end. I've been reminded that we're not considering solutions, but a SID, which was put forward as one potential solution, wouldn't work when outside the school it is at times 20 miles an hour. So the SID could be, if it's set for 30, which is where it's the rest of the day, and would register a speed within the limit, but actually could be outside the limit because of the school drop off and pick up times. So I go with the officer's comments that mindful, yes, that we need to do something to slow down the cars, but actually if we had the data, then we could do something more appropriate. So I go with officer's comments, which is not to support a referral to LHFIG. Thank you.
Councillor Massey?
I won't make any suggestions what should be done, but I will agree with the officer's comments.
Councillor Bragg?
I agree with the officer, we need data-led solutions.
Okay, so we are, are we happy not to refer this to LHFIG? Or any other comments, sorry, any other comments? No, not like that, so.
Happy to also refer to traffic study process.
Okay, so are we happy to refer to traffic survey process? Isn't that right? All in favour? Lucky job, okay. 192 in it now. Yeah. Okay, so CTC reference 192, Slaughterford Lane, pedestrian safety, Capon Park and Hunter's Moon. Officers' comments to follow.
Hello. The officer's comments are the same as per 187. There are a number of requests for Saltersford Lane. However, this area is currently subject to development with S278 highway work still outstanding by the developer. These works may help to resolve some of the issues raised. Highway development management officers have been asked to provide an update on the current status of developer works on Saltersford Lane to allow a fuller update, and the concerns raised here will be passed back. However, it would be appropriate to allow development works to complete before considering any review of Saltersford Lane through the LHFIG process, and the recommendation is again to not refer to LHFIG, but to refer concern to the Highways Development Management Team.
Okay, okay, let's go Councillor Massey, Councillor Bragg and Councillor Owen.
I agree with the officer's comments. Would it be possible in the meantime to keep people safe and keep them happy that we take some sort of temporary action, temporary speed limits? Can we do that from the council? No? Okay, I agree with Sadie's comments.
And Councillor, who did I say next? Bragg.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, similar comments to the one we had before. It is an issue. I don't think we should wait for the completion of the back house development. It needs to be done before that, otherwise it'll just get forgotten and no one will be around to pay for it. So I would press upon the highways people to honour the commitments they've already made to me about reducing the speed limit.
Councillor Owen.
No additional comments to add to those I made to the previous similar application. Thank you.
So, any other comments? Are we happy to not refer this and to refer it to the Highways Development Management? All those in favour? Fabulous. There we go. That's passed. Okay, so the next one is CTC reference 193, and that's Patchway Parking on Bend, and that is Sheldon. And we have officers' comments.
Last one, gang, you're almost there. So the officer's comments are weighting restrictions may be considered. However, it is important to consider where parking would be displaced to. It would be useful to consider, based on local knowledge from the ward councillors, how big an issue the parking on the inside of the bend is. Does it happen frequently? Is it many vehicles? How often does this cause a problem? And the recommendation is to consider referring to LHFIG with further information. and for councillors to consider extent of the issue based on local knowledge, may be appropriate to refer to LHVIG with additional information regarding the parking impact at this location. Thank you.
Councillor
Paisley. Thank you, Chair. Obviously, we caught up about this briefly beforehand. I think any competent and considerate driver would not park on that highlighted stretch with other vehicles parked on the side. It's far too narrow for parking on both sides. If you walk through, you will frequently see people parked along one side of it because parking is a bit tight. I believe that the management company that manage some of the land have put duck boards down so people can park at the end, but double yellow lines to me doesn't seem like they will really make much of a difference in this area, as anyone who parks there would already be disregarding like basic aspects of the highway code, not obstructing the highway. I don't know whether this resident has perhaps experienced delivery drivers or people parking there ad hoc, but I think we'd need some more information from them as to what is causing this to be a prominent issue before sending it to LHVIG. That would be my consideration. So I don't know how much of a problem this is for people accessing that road with people fully blocking it, but I shouldn't think many people would do that, to be honest. It seems very daft to park there. Thank you.
I also went up there the other day. There just seems a bit of wasteful land there, really, where someone could maybe do something with the road or something. So maybe some further investigation into how it could be improved and finding out who actually does own that bit of land on the corner, and maybe working with them as well, but also being in touch with the residents as well there and seeing if there is any other problems. If there is, then we'll sort out with a solution, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. So I'm going to say that is a. Any other comments? Councillor Murray.
Just it's a general comment, but now we're at the end of this. I just noticed with having the highways officer comments coming through, which is really helpful. We're also now starting to make recommendations to shoot things in all different directions to sustainable transport and highways. So I just suggest we look at the protocol allowing us to do something like that rather than just refer it or not, because we seem to be doing slightly differently to what we were before with being educated by the highways officer in terms of referrals. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? No. Okay. So, are we happy for this not to go forward? It's not to go forward, isn't it? Not to refer. Yeah, not to refer, and just further investigation.
Would you like to defer to make a decision later?
Yeah, make a defer it for later and to make some sort of investigation into sort of how it can talk. We'll go and talk to the residents. Is that okay with you, Councillor Paisley?
Yeah, I mean, if we are allowed to be passed the contact details of the person who submitted it, I'd be happy to speak with them about it. I feel that just double yellowing it wouldn't resolve the issue alone. So it seems like even if we were to do that, they would probably be dissatisfied. Might be worth having another conversation first.
Yeah. So are we happy with that one? Yeah. Everyone happy with that one? Yes. Okay, fabulous. Right, that one's done. That was the last one. Okay, right, now we're on to item 9, the consultation for the bus infrastructure improvements on the Route 55. To review the proposals and consider providing feedback on improvements to bus infrastructure along Route 55. Copy attached. Are there any comments about these proposals that we would like to put forward to Wiltshire Council? Councillor Stragg first.
Yes, I generally I think it's a good idea to put some new shelters in certain places, and certainly in the neighbourhood plan we have our objective was to improve certainly the bus shelters in Bath Road, and I see that there'll be a new shelter for the National Express and Flixbus coaches as well as the ordinary buses, and and particularly there'll be seating rather than perch seats, and that would be greatly appreciated. And I have tested such shelters out, which are already installed in Calne to a similar design. So that's very much appreciated. I think what they're planning to do. I think the terminus of the 55 is at the railway station, and they don't propose any new shelters there. But I think Wiltshire Council, talking to people there on the bus side, they do consider that the shelters for passengers at Chippenham railway station are really quite inadequate, and I think they have in mind putting larger shelters with better weather protection there. So I would rather like mention of that there is a need for improved shelters at the railway station, which is not covered by this scheme. And I see that well, having spoken to the planning officer, there is some doubt about whether there's really room for a shelter at the town bridge stop, you know, outside the betting office or thereabouts. So that I think they are suggesting a shelter of limited size, which shouldn't be obstructing pedestrian through access too much, but it would be appreciated to have a shelter, but there must be some doubt about whether there's adequate space for it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Murray.
Yeah, it's difficult not knowing the real condition of the shelters, and when we're talking about replacing shelters, not knowing the condition and the improvements that would result from a complete replacement. And I've had lots of people comment to me now that some of these shelters look in perfectly good condition. Could we not just refurbish them and actually spend the money on new shelters, additional new shelters? But you know, it's difficult to say. I don't know how much better the replacements would be and whether that would encourage people to take the bus more and what have you. But as a comment, I just go back to them and say, is it necessary to actually replace some of these? They look like perfectly refurbishable. I don't know. Yeah.
Councillor Nonhoff.
Thank you, Chair. Is it possible to feed back a comment asking why there are no shelters at Stanley Lane, given that that is the main bus stop for Abbeyfield School?
We can add that comment along with the other comment. Yeah.
I think there might be plans to put some shelters there as part of the development proposals for the David Wilson Homes site. Yeah.
Any other comments? Councillor Baisley.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to echo Councillor Murray's comments about perhaps refurbishment rather than full replacement if necessary, seeing as we've already spent money on changing the Perspex glass recently as well. One other comment regarding heritage, perhaps the museum could be commented to see if they would like to retain any of the perhaps flagpole bus table designs. So we recently lost our heritage phone box through a vote from the committee. So perhaps we could retain some of the timetables if they would like them. Obviously, if not, chuck them at the tip. Thank you.
Perhaps we can maintain a special bus stop for you as well, with a little flag. Councillor Strag.
Come back, Councillor Nonhoff rightly said that there's a need for shelter by Stanley Lane, and I do see on the annex it says potential for installation of bus shelter during the summer of 2027 as part of Abbeyfield School expansion and footway improvement. So there is a marker there that there is a possibility the shelter be put there, but there's no reason why we shouldn't underline our recommend that the shelter is put there.
Thank you. Councillor Bragg.
Who owns the shelters after they've been replaced? Because a lot of them are ours.
Very good question.
We've got, I think, around about 8 at the moment that are ours. I'm not sure. I couldn't honestly tell you whether or not these are ours. I think I've got a feeling the Bath Road one might be. But yeah, I think in terms of who owns them afterwards, presuming they will still be owned by Wiltshire Council, it would be their assets, but we just continue to maintain them under delegation agreement. So.
But they're going to give our bus stops back and refund us then, because that'd be nice to have the money back.
Councillor Strag, one more comment.
Again, I don't know what schemes there are for other routes at the moment.
I think it's all in the attached copy.
It's not actually. They're just referring to Route 55 in this case. So
yeah.
I do trust that other routes will be provided. Certainly the 231 bus to Bath, and yep.
Plus, I would just like to add one very small comment. I've seen the new bus shelter in Cown, and can I just say it looks a lot more nicer than the ones in Chippenham. Sorry, but yes, it does. It does look a lot nicer. It's a lot more nicer to look at, and you know, if you're going there on a rainy day waiting for a bus, I much prefer the new ones. But that's my personal opinion. Okay, so.
Yeah, so I was just going to echo, actually, just reading the Wiltshire Council's bus strategy. I think a lot of the comments about retaining the bus shelters, the idea was to sort of bring in an element of uniformity to the design across Wiltshire. Obviously, that's good comments from Councillor Robinson there, but the idea was for them to all look sort of smart and Wiltshire branded, really. So they're all the same because they vary so much across Wiltshire.
Any other comments? No. Oh, Councillor Murray.
Can we add that as a comment through the councillors as a comment? I think that's a good point.
Well, okay. Put my comment in. It's fine. Okay. Any proposals you'd like to put forward? Yeah, got them all. Right. Okay. Yeah. So we just pop that in. Right, so item 10, we're nearly there. Item 10, street trading application. To consider a street trading application for Kebab Express, a proposed food truck to be located at the A420 Chippenham, hard standing, used as a car park by Chippenham FC and trading every day between the hours of 8 and 11. A copy of the application is attached. Please note that any objections must be within the framework of the criteria for the determining applications. So, I hope you've all done your homework and read it. Are there any comments about this application we would like to put forward? Councillor McDermott first.
Yes, I've heard from some residents, and I did see some comments a little while ago about it. The fact that it's a route to a school, so it doesn't promote healthy eating. Another one is that the amount of litter it could cause, who's going to go and clean it up? And then also the fact that there'll be late night noise, antisocial behaviour, that could bring to this area. I think that was, yeah, that was it.
Councillor Puntis.
Yeah, thank you. So I've had representations as well from a number of people, including a sports club and a football club. Parking is an issue during any sport activity, whether it's at the sports club or the football club, and it's every other Saturday plus some Tuesdays where it gets very, very busy, and every single parking space is vital for road safety in that area. So if we go from the criteria for determining application and do one by one, site safety, location should not present a substantial risk to the public in terms of road safety. What you're doing there is increasing the number of vehicles driving in and out and conflicting with pedestrians going to the kebab van. It's on a slope. Most of that site is on a slope in the top end of it, and flatter at the roadside end of it. Public order should not present a risk to public order in the locality in which it's situated. There isn't generally any issues with people coming out of the football club, and I've attended almost every single home game for the last 5 years. But if you put a kebab van, that encourages people who are either really happy that their team lost or really sad that really happy that their team won. Let's get it the right way around. Or really sad that their team lost, and you're putting in somewhere where you're encouraging them to stop. And they do serve alcohol in both the establishments, both the football club and the sports club. And I just think it's a recipe for disaster. At the moment, everybody leaves and just goes. If you put something that's going to attract them to hang around, I don't think that's a good idea. So avoidance of nuisance. I also pick up on what Councillor McDermott just said about noise, smells, fumes, litter, discharge of fluids. That sort of thing will happen with a kebab van in an area like that. Consultees observations. This is what we're doing. Permitted trading hours, town centre, street trading normally mirror those of the shop vicinity. I just don't think it's a good place to attract people to come to of an evening. Just to me, it doesn't sit right. Not if you go back to the timings of the permitted trading hours and conflict with the schools, two schools, as we know, Hardney and Sheldon, the footpath goes along the edge of the donkey fields and out right into that car park. There is a whole host of reasons why that shouldn't be there, from attracting, kids leaving school between the ages of 11 and 16 or 18 if you're at A levels, and going in and spending time around a kebab van. Again, I can just see it being a massive issue. Next one is proximity to schools and colleges, and it's within 200-metre walk. It's only just outside that. I think actually the edge of the car park is that. So, that to me is a reason why not. Existing consent holders I don't think that's relevant, because there isn't any other than both the club and the sports club, the football club and the sports club, have their own food outlets. So, we're conflicting with them, and they may have things within their planning considerations that don't allow this sort of thing to happen. So to me, there are, in almost every single area, there's something that we should be making representations to about why this shouldn't be supported. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Chair. I echo the comments of my fellow councillor colleagues. I'd also say I actually use that car park quite a lot as a stop-off point to walk into town. It's busy throughout a lot of the day. I walked past earlier this week, and there was a coach and a number of cars in there. I think it's going to limit parking spaces, and we're faced with car parking charges going up next week, so maybe more people will use it. So I think, for a whole host of reasons that have already been outlined, and including the loss of car parking spaces, the proximity to school, albeit it's outside the 200-metre limit, I would be against it as well. Thank you.
Councillor Rutledge.
Yes, I agree with everything that's been said so far. I think also there's a few questions about this application. One of them which intrigues me is if we look at the map that's included with it, and it shows this area across the other side of the Bristol Road, which is woods. What's that about? Why is that being included on the application? It seems very strange to me. They can't, yeah, but as Councillor Murray says, you can't trade there. Seems a bit odd. Well, exactly. That's exactly the consideration I've got. Okay, I think I've said enough, and so does everybody else. Thank you.
I'll probably give the last comment on, Councillor Bragg, then I'll do my comment.
Thank you, Chair, for your enthusiasm. Who owns this land? I can't see it in the application process. Is it just, we're just giving carte blanche to somebody to go park a van on a piece of scrubland? It just, I agree with all the councillors' comments. Don't know why it's there, I don't know why, who benefits from it.
This piece of, I call it a piece of land, is like a car park, and I know it from, you go up the road, you got the sports dome, you got the bowling club up there, and you got a very narrow road going up there. Now, the amount of kids on a Wednesday, when I used to turn up, parents used to come and pick their kids up from there and stuff like that on a Wednesday. You got the netball people up there, you got all the sporting clubs which go up there, and to have a, dare I say, a kebab van up there after doing some sporting activity is not the best visualization, is all I'm going to say. But yeah, so I think I just think that it's a no from me. So any other comments? Nope. Okay. So I propose. So do we have? God, I've lost myself again. No, it's an objection. Right. Okay. So looks like an objection. Those who want to object, please raise your hands.
With comments raised.
With comments raised, with all our concerns and all the concerns. Yeah. She's got them. There you go. All right, number 11. We got items to consider for communication from this meeting to the public. Do we have any of the items for communication to residents? Nope. Consider any questions or actions from this meeting to refer to the Youth Council for their opinion or response. Nope. Oh, Councillor Baisley.
Sorry, just popped into my head. Perhaps about the Wiltshire local plan, if they've not been asked, if they have any ideas, for suggestions. So as people can add them in.
Yep, we can put that forward. Okay, and then we got next to the date of the next meeting, which is the 17th of September 2026. And I declare this meeting closed. Now, before you lot run off, right, now, next month,